People who seek isolation usually end up living in their mom's basements. Let's talk about it. It's not enough to be smart and good looking and in good shape and talented. Our lives are pretty meaningless if we don't do anything to help those people around us. 1 Corinthians 13, the love chapter, says, "If I could speak all the languages of earth and of angels, but didn't love others, I would only be a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal." In other words, if I had all this knowledge, or I had great spiritual power and I could communicate with angels, but I didn't love people, then I wouldn't be worth much. Verse 2, "If I had the gift of prophecy, and if I understood all of God's secret plans and possessed all knowledge, and if I had such faith that I could move mountains, but didn't love others, I would be nothing." We can't help it in the church. We're talking about love all the time. We spend so much time talking about love, and that's because we believe that our devotion for other people, our devotion for each other, the horizontal, shows our devotion to God. So the horizontal is evidence of the vertical. And so we talk a lot about love. We say that evil is people hurting people, and that constitutes evil. And most of us avoid this evil pretty much as often as we can. We do things to help other people to avoid this evil. But the reality is humans are very capable of loving others and very capable of helping others, as long as it doesn't cost us too much, and as long as it doesn't take us too far out of our comfort zone. So how do we eradicate this evil? Well, we start with ourselves individually. Jesus didn't teach that when things change in the world, then the world will be a better place. He taught when we change individually, when we do something, we become better, then the world will change. To quote the great classic song by Michael Jackson, "I'm looking at the man in the mirror, and I'm asking him to change his ways." What a great theologian he was. Well, we took the title of this new series we just began called Me and We. We took that title from a book by Leonard Sweet with the same title. It's a great book that connects the nature of me and we. No one can be a me without a we. Me needs we. And so Sweet said it this way: "A me-we gospel is for the world, and a we-first world requires a me-last imagination." We need each other, and we works best when we becomes more important to me. We works best when we becomes more important to me. What is the most isolating word that you can think of? Selfishness, selfishness. But even when we think of ways that people are selfish, we usually think of ways that people take from other people. That's what we call selfishness. So even in people's selfishness, me is relying on we. Even in selfishness, we are dependent on others. Me is dependent on we. But we aren't only dependent on other people, we are also dependent on God. So here are some of the main teachings of Jesus. Number one, you are not your own. It is He who made us. We are not we ourselves who made us. Number two, you own nothing. Every good gift comes from God. All that you own, you owe. And number three, I will never leave you or forsake you. So what do these teachings from Jesus tell us? We have a complete reliance on God. So even without the human relationships that we are so dependent on, that we rely on so much, we are reliant on our relationship with God, or at least we should be. So pause here and answer the first three questions and then push play again. In his book, Leonard Sweet spends quite a bit of time talking about the social gospel movement. It was a movement in the late 1800s that produced some great organizations like the Salvation Army, the YMCA, YWCA. It produced schools and hospitals, colleges, institutes, all kinds of things. But it also left the world very sick with despair and filled with doubt. It also left people without a savior. So it did great things for the world, it did great things for we, but it failed to emphasize our need for God. And then as a result, it ushered in what would turn out to be the bloodiest and most brutal century in human history. Why is that? Well, the problem with the social gospel movement was that the DNA of the movement was centered on the idea of justice, not on Jesus. The DNA of the social gospel movement, or the social justice gospel, was justice, not Jesus. What is justice? What is the definition of justice? Well, the reality is it's very difficult to find a good definition for the word justice. You look at different dictionaries and they kind of flounder around trying to find a definition for it, but they can't. The predominant definition for the word justice is just behavior. So I don't know that much about describing words, but I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to use the word in the description or in the definition of the word. But the prominent definition for the word justice is just behavior. So justice is the action of removing injustice. And there's nothing wrong with justice. It is in itself, it just doesn't get us very far. Without Jesus and without the grace that Jesus brings, justice just doesn't do that much for the world. When I was a teenager, one of my favorite bands was a band called Relient K, and they have a song that is just stuck in my head to this day, and because it has a beautiful line. The song is called Be My Escape, but the line goes like this: the beauty of grace is that it makes life not fair. And it's so true. That's why we love grace, is because it doesn't bring on us the judgment that would come along with justice. When Jesus judges injustice and exercises justice, he doesn't require blood. He doesn't take blood. He spills his own blood. We don't just want justice. Justice is getting what we deserve. Mercy is not getting what we do deserve. And grace is getting what you don't deserve. So Dorothy Sayers says it like this: when we demand justice, it's always justice on the behalf against other people. I'll say it again. It is always justice on our behalf against other people. In other words, we don't want justice, we want revenge. And that's what justice often is. When justice is done upon us, we hope that God is not vindictive, but when justice is done on other people, we hope that God is vindictive. When Nelson Mandela famously emerged from that prison after 27 years, he didn't seek justice. He sought truth and reconciliation for the people. Do we really want a Messiah that is known for mercy or known for justice? First and foremost, we need God's mercy. It's not enough just to make the world a better place. If you take a sick turtle and you give it a new shell, it may look better, but it's still a sick turtle. What's wrong with humanity can't be fixed with just making the world look better, making it easier to live in. And the social gospelers that once believed that once you improve the material world, then the spiritual condition of the world would just naturally improve, and it didn't happen. The spiritual has to be prioritized. So there's two more questions to go ahead and answer those, and then we'll see you Sunday in church.